Hello, everyone. Welcome to Happy Thots with me, Ethan, Rinky, and my room is totally normal. There's nothing weird going on. Why would you say that? Why would you imply that something strange is happening on screen? And on that note, if you are listening to audio only, I would possibly recommend that you switch over to the video function now, which can be found on Spotify or YouTube, because there's just things on the screen that are a little bit different and visually interesting and appealing and relevant to the information in today's topic. And today's topic, I'm very excited. You're very excited, as said on my Instagram. But today we are going to be talking about my new song, Ye Wenjie Was Right. And we're going to be talking about who is Ye Wenjie? Why was she right? Why am I talking about her in a song title? When did I write this song? What's the story behind this song? We're going to dive into some of the lyrics. And we're also going to talk about some things that you asked me on my Instagram. So we're going to be answering some questions as well. So full schedule for today. Very exciting, very interesting. If you're not interested, if your interest is not piqued, I would get piqued, because this is going to be some good content. And we're going to dive right into it. So first things first, I want to talk about a little bit of the background of the song. When did I write it? Why did I write it? Who cares? And why? Anyway, yeah. So thinking back, and you'll see in the music video when it comes out, which it's going to come out in a few days. Also, okay, so let me address the elephant in the room. Why I'm in a serial killer looking space. This is the guest room of our house that for the music video we converted into the lair for the fictitious cult that I invented for the lore of the video and for the lore of the song and for the lore of the project that I'm working on. Okay, so this is my guest room at my house. Louis Vuitton dog over here. Don't know if you can see. Yeah. Louis Vuitton dog over here. We've got Elon Musk doing the Nazi hand gesture right here. We've got Zendaya, but she's going to fall off the wall any second now. Could happen during this. Elle Fanning's over here somewhere. I don't remember. Where is Elle Fanning? I know she's over here. Anyway, she's over here somewhere. Jacob Elordi's down there. We've got the Met Christmas display back here being covered by this wing. Also, this gorgeous, beautiful graffiti done by the one and only Stephanie Carey. We designed this cult logo together. More on that later. Anyway, wanted to just tell you what is going on, why I'm in this room, and you will see more of this room when you watch the music video in a few weeks. Okay, fast turnaround time. Anyway, so, yes, when did I write this song? Let's get some context. Well, there's context in the song, so if you were paying attention at all, I do reference being freshly 25. And that is very accurate to the time frame of the song, because I don't remember the exact day, but I remember what was happening when I started writing this song. And what was happening in the world was Luigi Mangione. He was happening. He came onto the scene right around the time that I started writing this song. And when he allegedly shot that healthcare CEO guy. The healthcare CEO died on December 4th of 2024, 2 days after my 25th birthday. So right around there somewhere is when I would have started writing this song. And I remember specifically the very first part of the song that I wrote was the pre-chorus, I don't know, tell me why I just turned 25 and I feel like there's a lot I don't know. That was the first line, the first melody that was ever written for this song. And it's interesting to see how it has evolved from there, because I know that when I started writing the song, I wanted it to be about like what was going on in the world, but I definitely didn't think it would be so politically focused. I thought when I started writing it that it would be a lot more kind of like just about me being like overwhelmed at my inevitable aging up and the inevitable shift of my POV as an adult. I thought it was going to be more about that than like the political unrest. But I think as the song progressed, I became more aware that so much of my adulthood confusion and frustration and anger comes from the societal collapse that's going on, in my opinion. So the song started to become very political and very relevant. I did write this song a year ago and it just came out, 2 weeks ago. It feels more relevant now than it did when I wrote it. How's that for prophetic lyricism? Hey, I'll take the Grammy nom. Like, it's totally fine. You guys can just hand it over. Like, it's no big deal. I'll take it. I'll give a short speech. I will not let that music play and get me booted off. I'll come up and grab it, say hello, say goodbye, sit down. But feel free to give me the nom. Like, nom for what? Best songwriting? I don't know. But so that is the time frame. I think when I recorded this song, it was probably January, February, March, April. It was probably March or April of 2025 that I actually recorded this song. So it's been in the vault for a while now. But when things started to get more out of hand and more escalated in the political climate and in the culture, I knew that I wanted to get this song out quickly because it felt like everyone was kind of thinking some of the same things that the song talks about, like what is going on. Like, people were sympathetic about like us versus them mentality. People are fed up with AI. I talk about AI in the song a little bit. But anyway, yeah. So let me not get ahead of myself talking while I'm hunched over on the camera. Let me not get ahead of myself. Who is Ye Wenjie? Who is that? And why would I put her as the title of this song? Well, let's get into it. So, Ye Wenjie is a character from the book The Three Body Problem. Okay, this is a science fiction novel, but it's one of my kind of favorite types of fiction, which is, it's fiction. The story you're following is not real, as you will see in a moment because I will explain what it's about. But the story you're following is not real. However, the nature of the story is highly influenced by real life events. For example, in the story, Ye Wenjie, the character, was alive and growing up during a very dark time in Chinese history. And so you learn about some of the things that were happening in real life, in real history, during, I think it's the 1940s, 50s, 60s, not 40s. It's like the 50s, the 60s, or the 70s, somewhere in there. I need to reread it. But you learn a lot about what was happening in kind of like a darker time in Soviet rule. And the character's not real. The plot is not real, but it could have happened during the time frame that is set up, and you learn about things that were truly happening in China during this time period. And I find that super interesting. Also, the kind of science fiction elements in the book are also based off of real scientific theories, and experiments and hypotheses. The science in the book is based in reality, even though it goes to a place that is fictional. So I really like that. I really like the aspects of real history and real science that are woven into the fiction and the storytelling. It makes the book very interesting to read. It makes it very dense and hard to understand sometimes, but it also feels very rewarding to have this engaging story, but you're also learning. So would highly recommend. Would highly recommend. It did recently get turned into a Netflix show that is not as good as the book as is anything that ever is converted. But anyway, so Ye Wenjie, let's actually look up. I went to read like a little snippet about her. I don't want to use my own words. So let's just see. Ye Wenjie. Ye Wenjie 3-body problem. I need like a nice little fandom.com 3bodyproblem.fandom. Yeah, exactly. Here we go. So let's see. Okay, so it says date of birth 1943. Okay, so the story takes place, it starts in the 1950s then. That tells me that much. Or maybe even the 1960s, because she might be about 20 years old when the novel starts. Also, this is going to be slight spoilers, okay? The information that I'm going to share takes place at the beginning part of the book, and it takes place in like episode 1 or 2 of the show. So this is slight spoilers, but really not really, in my opinion. And you need to know this if you want to understand the song deeper. So just putting that out there. But let's see here. Okay. Ye Wenjie worked at the Red Coast base from 1969 until 1982. She taught physics at a university from 1982 until her retirement in 2004. So that is all made up. She wrote a paper on the possible existence of phase boundaries within the solar radiation zone of their reflective characteristics. Okay, cool. So that is, I have no idea if that's real or not, like if that's like a science that exists, but basically she was a physicist who, in the story, she has this theory that you could bounce radio waves and frequencies off of the sun and turn the sun into like a giant antenna to then bounce into space. Okay. So her whole theory is, if we use the sun as like a satellite dish, you could bounce a message into deep space and see if anyone replies or receives it. That's kind of her tea. Okay. So she's thinking that that's happening. Meanwhile, her family is being ripped apart because her father is a teacher of some kind at a university. I can't remember. And he is killed by Soviet China because I don't want to get to see, that's the information that I was looking for in this wiki, because I didn't want to misquote this because I know that this is based on reality, but they're not talking about it, so that's super not helpful. Thank you, 3-body problem wiki, for nothing. Can we get a different intern running that site, please? Can we get some of the super fans out there giving us more information? Anyway, I'm going to summarize it in my own words, and so it might be wrong. Just read the book. But her father was a teacher, and there was a whole war going on at the time on education and what kind of information was dangerous and what kind of information was safe. Okay, no one alive today could relate to that. No way. Couldn't be us. But anyway, so her father was basically killed and beaten in front of her by like the Soviet rulers in China. And she was then imprisoned because she was of a similar ideology and she was smart and dangerous and whatnot. So they lock her away in a prison cell for years and years. And she was found with like a book that was deemed illegal by China at the time. And I think this is factual. It was a book about, I can't even remember. See, I need to reread it so bad. But it was like something about nature, and like it was something about like the demolition of nature to make room for the expanse of technology and the expanse of humanity. So, which you can hear a theme of in my song, Burning Down the Trees to Make Room for the Machine. And that is a double, triple entendre. We'll get into that later. Anyway, so Miss Ye Wenjie, she had her life destroyed by Soviet China, and she had her life destroyed for really no reason, because she wanted to spread information that was deemed illegal by people who were trying to control and manipulate the minds of the people. But really, she didn't do anything. At all. So she's arrested, she's imprisoned, and one day, again, this is all the story, this is all fake. China comes to her and they say, we are going to move you to this secret military base operation, and you are going to do scientific research for us that is highly sensitive and classified. Once you go onto this base, you will never leave unless you die. So basically she's super smart, and they were going to leave her imprisoned forever. But they were like, oh, instead of doing that, why don't we let her work and then die at this base? Because no one can leave this base knowing what they know is going on the base, right? Because it's all classified, secret, whatever. So they send her to this scientific military base, and she discovers that they are trying to contact life outside of Earth. And that's where her theory about bouncing sound waves or whatever off of the sun comes into play. They won't listen to her. They won't let her do it. So, of course, Miss Thing, because she cannot be stopped by any man, she decides that she's going to do it herself. And she sneaks around, and she moves the satellite slowly so that it'll be pointed towards the sun without anyone noticing. And she sends a message to be bounced off of the sun. Well, wouldn't you know, she gets a reply. And again, no one other than her knows that this is going on, okay? No one knows this is going on except for Ye Wenjie. She gets a reply, and it's from an alien who says, I am a peaceful alien, okay? But my race, my colony, my species is not peaceful. And no one knows that you have reached out to us except for me. This is the peaceful alien saying this. And he says, if you reply again, if you send a message again, then everyone will know, and we will come. And they don't even say what will happen. They just say, we will come to Earth if you send another reply. So Ye Wenjie is faced with the decision to forget that this ever happened, to know in her own mind, okay, there's something else out there, but if I contact them again, I risk them coming to Earth and taking over or, destroying the planet. She doesn't know their intentions. And so she has to decide, is she going to reply or is she going to leave it alone? And she decides to reply. And she says in the book that the reason why is because she thinks humanity is too far gone and it cannot save itself. And so she's like, well, if they're evil, they're going to end everything, and we were probably going to self-implode anyway. And if they're good and they help us figure out society, then great. So that's the decision that she is faced with, risking it all to try and usher in the alien-guided reestablishment of society, I guess, while risking the potential destruction of humanity via this alien species. So Ye Wenjie decides to contact them, and then the rest of the book plays out. Like, this is like the beginning of the story. But as I was writing this song and as I read this book, I was starting to feel kind of like, what would I do if I was her? And I don't think I would call the aliens necessarily, but there's a lot of times in the political and societal unrest where I'm like, man, we have lost the plot so much, and the aliens should come and save us because I don't think we can save ourselves. So that's why Ye Wenjie was right is the song title. This is my POV, my frustrations and anger and, negativity towards the current political climate, towards the society that we have in America right now, and also towards myself. Like, I do not count myself out in the lyricism of this song, and we'll get into that too a little bit later. But that is your big overview of who Ye Wenjie was and why I said she was right and why I put her as the title of the song. So hopefully that inspires you to read the book, because cannot recommend enough. It is so good, so good, so good. You have to read it. Okay, so now I want to go into some of the kind of lyrics, some of my favorite lyrics that I want to deep dive into. Not even that deep, but I just want to talk about, explain. I'm not a person that I feel like I want everyone to know exactly what I was thinking about every lyric, but sometimes there are lyrics that I write that I'm either like, oh, this is so good, or I just want to clarify so you know exactly what I meant. I don't know. I don't feel the need to ever do that with every single song and every single lyric, because that takes all of the, a song gets a new life once the audience hears it and interprets it for themselves. And so I would never want to steal that from you. But also, it's been out for a little bit, so we're going to talk about some of the lyrics. A big inspiration for the song and for the video especially, which you will see, is I have been going on jogs, walks, runs many times a day for the past several months now. And that has influenced many songs that I have written recently, but this one especially. There's a part at the beginning in the first verse that's like, I stay smiling, no one smiles back, they just look down, they can't look. This is very much about me, kind of when I'm on a run or I'm on a jog. Sometimes, for me, I always try and if I'm passing someone on the street or they're in their yard doing something and I'm passing by them, I'll always try and look at them and just give them a smile, or sometimes a wave. Rarely a wave. I usually just do a nice I'll just smile at them. That is that's pretty much all. And also, even rarer than a wave is saying something, verbally saying hi to them, because I also usually have headphones on, so I don't want to initiate talking, because I won't hear what they're gonna say anyway. But I always try and just interact with them some minuscule way. And especially when I was writing this song, it's gotten a little better now, but it's still all the time people will not do anything. But when I was writing this song especially, no one would look at me. No one would look at me. Everyone's looking down. Everyone's looking at the ground as they pass by me. Everyone's looking at their phone when they pass by me. People do not want to look at you when they pass you on the street. And I was like, this is so weird. And this is so, I don't know. I felt like that was very telling in the context of the song, and you can't even smile at your neighbor because what if they are against you, and what if, whatever, we're also we have all turned each other into a weapon. Well, no, we haven't done that. The powers that be have turned has turned our neighbor against us in our minds, I think. And so I was seeing this on my run, trying to just smile at someone, and they won't even look at me for me to be able to smile at them. They just are looking down the whole time. And so obviously that's also I think a lot of people, myself included, sometimes when things are happening. What was that? It looked like a bubble. How could there be a bubble in here? Okay, that was weird. Anyway, I think that a lot of times people, myself included, if something is overwhelming, we just don't even look at it. We just look down. Les Mis, I know I'm plagiarizing Les Mis a little bit. Listen, free me, sue me, whatever you want to do. But yeah, I think the looking down, like it's physical, talking about me like trying to wave at someone or smile at someone, but it's also metaphorical of the bigger agendas going on, how we just kind of look down sometimes and don't see what's happening right in front of us or right around us, which is a huge theme of the music video. Hopefully that will come across, that that aspect of things are happening and we just kind of are like la-di-da-di-da, like okay, whatever, whoa, like life is normal, but it's not. So hopefully that will come across when you see the music video. But yeah, okay, so another line that I wanted to kind of like break down a little bit was this, because someone said something to me when they heard the song and I was like, oh, that's not what I meant at all. Like I did not mean that at all, like the way they interpreted it. So I wanted to say what I really meant so that if anyone else was thinking that, they would not. But I have a line in the song. This is in verse 2. And I say, what do I say? Kids are starving on their last breath. I'm skipping breakfast and the billionaires are left guiltless. So someone that I know thought that I meant like I'm too broke to be eating breakfast, which is not true. And I would never want that to be what was being portrayed. These are 3 separate and yet related thoughts. So kids are starving on their last breath. Kids starving all over the world. Hello, obvious. But then I'm skipping breakfast is actually more of a jab at myself from myself rather than like me being like a woe is me moment. That's not what it is at all. It's me poking fun at myself because I do have breakfast. Like I could have breakfast, but, and this isn't really true anymore, but like when I was writing the song, this was way more relevant again, because all this is like kind of a year ago's POV specifically, also relevant, also important. But like at the time when I was writing this, I remember having like a little bit of like internal dialogue around like skipping breakfast because like it was the skinny thing to do. And now like if I skip breakfast, it's just because I woke up late and I just move on to lunch. It has like breakfast gets turned into a meal that I have at 12 o'clock midnight rather than like at the beginning of the day. So no, but at the time I was very like, oh, I need to be skinny and like I won't eat breakfast like because like I'm so skinny. And I was like, that's crazy because like there's kids that are starving and like you think about food in a way that's like being skinny versus being fat, like that's your relationship with food, when there's other people that their relationship with food is like, do I get to eat today? And that was very like jarring when I was thinking about that writing the song. I was like, oh, so yeah. And then the billionaires are left guiltless, like that again is talking about like, you know, certain individuals who are billionaires that don't seem to care about anything going on in the world, whatever. That part's obvious. The part that I wanted to talk about was the middle part about me. This was me poking fun at myself and using myself as the subject of criticism. It was not me saying, woe is me, I can't afford to eat, because I can. So I wanted to clear that up because like I said, when my friend said that to me, I was like, oh, didn't know that was how someone might see that. So my bad. I guess I'm a terrible lyricist, JK. Okay, so going back to when I was talking about the main part of the chorus, and in fact, the first line of the chorus that I wrote was burning down the trees to make room for the machines, or the machine. It's both throughout the song. But anyway, that was the first part of the chorus that I wrote. So it wasn't the first part of the song, because the first part of the song was the I just turned 25, the pre-chorus. And then, but yeah, the burning down the trees to make room for the machine was the first part of the chorus that I wrote. And then I filled in the gaps, in the middle. But this was a big core piece of the song, because for me, this line has multiple meanings. The most obvious, in my opinion, the most obvious meaning is like how we are living in the age of AI right now, and how, I haven't looked into this very deeply, so I'm by no means an expert in any of these topics. Like, this is just my POV and like how I'm feeling and like what I am seeing. I don't claim to be an expert on politics or social studies or anything technological at all. This is just these are just my thoughts. So I'm not claiming to be an expert, but like from what I understand, from what limited knowledge I have, it's like, okay, the AI takeover is happening, and like what are the impacts of that on the environment? And so that's like the easy takeaway from that lyric is like, oh well, yeah, we're destroying the planet for AI. But then also it's like, okay, well, we've already we've been destroying the planet for years now for the advancement of technology, for the advancement of humanity, like I kind of referenced earlier. And that was another topic that Ye Wenjie was that was something that was on her mind when she made the decision to let the aliens come, because she thought, oh well, on the path that we're on, there's not going to be a world left to save if we're left to our own devices. So that's kind of the the more that's the deeper meaning of that lyric, is like, on the path we're on, what is really at the end? Like burning down the trees to make room for the machine. It's like, okay, the machine's there. Can we breathe? Like, is there, are the bees all dead? Do we have food? Like, there, et cetera, X, Y, Z, like whatever. I feel right now, and when I wrote the song, and still, it's like, what's the next 5 years look like? What's the next 10 years look like? Are we reaching the Suzanne Collins Hunger Games in real life apocalypse reality? Like, are we getting close to that? Because sometimes it feels like that. And especially when I don't really know about like what the true impact of this kind of stuff is, it feels like it has a large impact, and it's such a high cost for something that's like totally like, why do we need AI? Like, why do we need this? Yeah, it seems like it's doing a lot more harm than good. And this is something that I've been thinking about too, with Frankenstein coming out, and a lot of dialogue around Frankenstein, is I kind of feel like, Frankenstein is similar to like Oppenheimer, in terms of it's a story about when morality is overcome by, no, it's surpassed. Yeah. When morality is surpassed by human ingenuity, meaning Frankenstein's monster, or in Oppenheimer's bomb. These were endeavors that humanity set out to create in the name of science, in the name of human evolution and preservation, possibly. And then once these things that were thought to be impossible happened, there was a moral dilemma, which is like, oh, okay, we didn't think about this, and now it's already here and it's already happening, but we didn't spend the time to set up the moral framework to handle this thing. And the way that Frankenstein's monster is that thing in that story, I think today AI is something that could be like the human innovation that has surpassed the conversation of what are the moral regulations and the moral standards around like AI, because it seems like it kind of AI is like completely free to do whatever. You're free to do whatever with it at this point, and that seems crazy. So that, why am I talking about that? Oh yeah, just because that's like feels very relevant, of like, that's the current, in my what I see is like, that's the current machine that is burning down, nature, or is questioning morality, or not being questioned enough. Like, I feel like we're not questioning it enough. And also the other thing that I want to say about burning down the trees to make room for the machines, because I say I don't want to be part of the machine. Like that, when I say I don't want to be part of the machine, that's even another separate machine. So there's lots of interlocking thoughts and lots of individual takeaways from some of the same lines and verbiage. And when I'm talking about like I don't want to be part of the machine, that machine is more like thinking about the Matrix, thinking about the looking down, like that machine, the machine of like falling into place in society and feeling like, oh, they want me to do this, they want me to follow this path, they want me to see this, they want me to fall for the propaganda, they want me to look down. I don't want to do that. Like I don't want to buy into the machine for the gain of like, you know, oh, well, everything will be easier, and if you just follow this path, like, you know, you're not a disruptor, you're not a rebel, you just follow the path, do this, and that's what we're supposed to do. That machine, that is the machine that I'm like, I don't want to be part of the machine. And that's why I'm like, so what do we do? Do we just start over? Do we call the aliens? Like, what's up? Like, the machine has a hold of everyone, and myself included sometimes. Like, no one, I'm not, you know, by no means do I think I'm better than everyone else. Like, because I wrote this song and I'm like, wake up, sheeple. Like, come on. Don't you see what's happening? It's like, well, girl, like, no, I don't think I'm better than everyone and anyone else. In fact, that's why I wrote this song, is because I'm like frustrated that this is where we are, and like frustrated that this is going on. And I don't think we talk about it that much. And I myself am asleep to it all the time because it's easier. Like, it's not like we want to be walking around being like, okay, but like, what are the effects of me going to Target and like, well, like blah, 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 like me hanging out with my friends and having a good time. We're not thinking about like, oh my God, we're asleep. Like, we're asleep. Oh, we're in the machine, like whatever. So, but, yeah, so the machine is a popular part of this song, and it has multiple meanings. I just listed like 4 different ways that I was interpreting that kind of same line. So you can see why I wanted to break that down for you. But other than that, the only other thing I want to talk about before we get into some questions that you guys sent me, which were so good. So thank you for those questions. I'm so excited to get to them. But I did just want to talk about the music video really quick, what you can expect, and just kind of giving you a teaser about the idea, because it hasn't come out yet when this video will have come out, but it's coming out very soon. And in fact, you've probably seen some kind of teaser or trailer by now, probably. If you haven't, then text me and tell me that I need to work on it, because by the time this video comes out, you should have seen at least something. So if that has not happened, then hit up the DMs and flame me for being lazy. But so I just wanted to tell you a little bit about like kind of the music video idea. I said it earlier, it was very highly influenced by my daily jogging, my daily walks, and the music video concept is very suburban. We filmed the whole thing in my neighborhood. I mean, we filmed in my house, literally, where I'm sitting right now. We filmed outside my house in the street. We filmed at my neighbors' houses. It's very suburban because I wanted the music video to feel like me just going on one of my daily jogs and, you know, using hyperbole to express the way that I feel sometimes and the way that I think other people are feeling about the cycle of violence that we are in as a society, the us versus them mentality, the war of propaganda on our screens and on everywhere. I wanted the music video to feel very like I'm just, you know, running through life and everything's falling apart around me and everything's crazy all around me, but I'm really just kind of like, everything's fine, like don't even worry, like just keep going, like it's totally cool, until things become so unbearable that I then have to run away at which spoilers, that's going to be like the end of the video, as I just have you see me leave the screen, everything's crazy and I have to get out of here. So that is kind of the, you know, the video. It's going to get crazier and crazier as the video goes along. You know, there might be some kidnapping in the video. I already said there was a cult. You'll get to see a lot more about that. But actually, you know what? Let me give you some background information on the cult, and you will see more of this and hear more of this. I have some fun content that I'm going to make over the next few months that will give you some insight into the cult, what they stand for, what they believe in. But I formulated this, again, it's fake. Hey, don't join a cult, probably. And also, I'm not in a cult, and this is all fake. This is not real. It's for fun. It's for fun. It's for art. It's a metaphor. But anyway, so I invented this fake cult, which you can see the symbol right here. I am calling this cult Noah's Anarchists, and it's spelled, anarchists is spelled with the ark, A-R-K, like Noah's Ark. And the cult members all dress like animals. They all have animal masks. So that's kind of that. And this was born from months ago. Ethel Kane, who I love and idolize, Ethel Kane reposted this quote from someone, I don't remember who, on her story. And this was again around the time that the Luigi Mangione things were happening. But she posted this quote that was basically like, you know, we have forgotten the law of the jungle and we are expected to bend over and bow at the hands of our overlords, when really we are animals, and if an animal is threatened by some other animal, we bite back. And, you know, we have been tamed by our overlords, was kind of what the quote was saying. And I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm not saying, you know, there's a very violent tone to that, like a resolution of violence, which I definitely think the problem is the cycle of violence. So I don't know if I agree with that, but it was very interesting to think on, and it inspired me to create this cult that in the video I myself become a victim of, because I see it more like that's not the answer. The cult in the video is not the answer. Like that quote is not the answer. It's one way of thinking that is at odds with other ways of thinking that are represented in the video as well. And I feel like it's, you know, being tossed and turned between different ways of thinking, different sides of whatever. That's the cycle that I feel trapped in, and that a lot of people I think also feel trapped in, is like the different sides of continued violence on both sides. And I don't even just mean like both political sides. Like I'm just talking about not just two sides, like any side of thinking. A lot of them are just different ways of being caught up in the same cycle of violence. So but that quote inspired kind of the, you know, why they dress like animals, because their mantra is this, like, the law of the jungle, like fight back against the animals that want to control you, like that's how you survive. Like that was kind of their mantra. And so I become victim to them, but then kind of in my mind, what's going to happen down the line, hopefully this comes to fruition, we'll see how well I'm able to execute that, is that actually I will become a beacon of hope for this cult, because I wrote this song and they are going to interpret, again, this is all like fake, I've made this up, like this is a storyline that I've created in my head, but like the people of the cult would hear Ye Wenjie Was Right, the song that I released, and they would be like, yes, he's right, like we need to, you know, they're gonna turn me into like part of their movement in this fictitious storyline that I'm making, but I don't claim to be one of them. And so yeah, so they kidnap me in the video. They kidnap me in the video. Spoilers, you'll see. It's so fun. I'm so excited for you to see this video. I've barely started editing it, but like I think all of the shots turned out really cool. Everyone that was on set was amazing. Literally every single person. So thank you so much if you were there. But yeah, so now let's get into some questions that you guys sent me. And we're going to go through these pretty fast because it's already been 45 minutes. So, but you guys sent me some really good questions. So thank you. And I'm literally so excited to talk about some of this stuff. So, when is the next EP dropping? That is, someone asked me that. Duh, hello, I just said that. Anyway, so when is the next EP dropping? Well, there's some things about this question that you're asking the wrong question. That's what I'll say on that. You're asking the wrong question, if you know what I mean. When's the next EP dropping? I don't know. A long time from now. But there's stuff dropping soon. There's stuff dropping sooner than that. So that's all I'm going to say on that. But as for when is something happening next year, early next year. I mean, and hello, we're almost done with this year. Didn't know if you know. Christmas is around the corner. My birthday is in 9 days from today, I think. Crazy. December 2nd, by the way. So, like, you can feel free to send me money. Just kidding. But, yeah, so, yeah, you're asking the wrong question, but the answer is very soon. I know not soon enough for you, I'm sure, but, like, soon, very soon. Anyway, thank you for your question. Next question is, why this song as a single versus other songs you have unreleased? Good question. I love that. So I'm kind of gonna, give my hand away a little, because if you're watching this, you're a real one. And if you're listening this far into this video or this podcast, if you're listening to audio only, which you should switch because it looks crazy on set today. But if you've made it this far and you really are even listening to this at all, like, you are one of my elite employees. And so I'm going to give you a little bit more information that I might give just, average Joe asking me this question. But yeah, so why this single versus others that I have that are unreleased that I could have released as a single? First of all, I want to say that Ruin and Renaissance, which came out before this song, is the first single of what is going on, of the thing that we're in, the project that we're in. So that is actually fully still related to what we're talking about today. And why this song next after that? Well, because I am doing something with the singles that have been chosen and the singles that are dropping in the order in which they're dropping. The singles are telling the story that I want to tell with the project. So this was not a matter of like looking at the songs that we had and being like, okay, what song is going to come out next? Well, it should be the best one. Like, we should release one of the best songs next. That is not what the conversation was. The conversation I was having with myself about which song should come out next is what song needs to come out to set the stage for the continuation of the story that I'm telling through this project. Okay, so that is why Ye Wenjie was the perfect choice for the single, the next single, the second single of what's going on. It sets the stage perfectly for all of the unreleased songs that you've never heard and that you will hear eventually. This is setting the stage for that. And I kind of said it, like, I won't say it again, actually. I have said I've given away something very important about this conversation probably 10 minutes ago. So feel free to scrub this video several times and drive that view count up, okay? But yeah, that's all I'll say. Is the reason this song was chosen to be a single rather than other songs was because it is setting up the narrative for the story that I want to tell with this next project. And that's going to go into one of the questions that we have later. But anyway, for now, someone asked, is there a lyric that means more to you now than it did when you wrote it? And what did I didn't write down my answer, and now I forget which one yes. Multiple things come to mind. One specifically that comes to mind in a big way is a song that is unreleased, so I'm not going to talk about that. because it's giving away stuff that I wouldn't want to give away quite yet. So, but when I talk about that song eventually, like on Instagram captions or something like that, I will talk about this question in reference to that song. So you'll be able to see that when the time is right. You'll be able to hear that conversation when the time is right. But for now, the other song that I thought of was Ruin and Renaissance, which has already been brought up. And if you have not listened to that, you need to get into that because it's so good. I know summer's over. That was kind of my summer, end of summer bop for you guys. But next time you need to feel like summer, I guess throw that on. But yeah, so Ruin and Renaissance. Ruin and Renaissance. Ruin and Renaissance is about the cycle of birth and death, the cycle of regression for progression. It is about the project that I'm working on has a lot of references to cycles, and you know, Ye Wenjie was right is about kind of the cycle of violence that we're in as a society, and then ruin and implied is that we need to break that cycle. Okay, so Ye Wenjie was right is we need to break that cycle. It's a song about passion, but it's an angry passion. And then Ruin and Renaissance is much more a hopeful passion, and the cycle of ruin and renaissance is a cycle that we all are born into, and it's a cycle that we should accept. In my opinion, it's a cycle that we should accept because the cycle of ruin and renaissance is the cycle of growth as a human being. And if you don't accept that or you fight that, then you're going to end up stagnant and, in the same place for most of your life. That is my opinion. So when I wrote that song, now that I've explained that, which has nothing to do with the question that you asked, when I wrote that song, Ruin and Renaissance, I was very much in the Renaissance part of the cycle. So when I wrote the song, I was like at a point where I was like so hopeful, and I was like, yes, like everything's amazing, like life is amazing, like this is amazing. And I felt kind of how TikTok is talking about like flow state recently. I was so in flow state in my life when I wrote this song. And I even remember because I wrote it. I wrote the song. I wrote it. That's how I said that just now. Disgusting. I wrote the song with Landon, my producer, and Kirsty, who's singing on the song. The three of us very much wrote it together. But Kirsty, I've said this before, Kirsty was generous enough to kind of start the conversation of writing the song with me and what I was thinking and where I was emotionally. And so I talked about feeling like everything in my life was going to change this year. Like I felt like I was in flow state in my life. I felt like I was in flow state, and it was like I could feel the tide going out and how it was about to come back in. And I thought I was going to be like, washed with all of this renaissance, and like I was going to, I just thought like I could sense that everything was going to change. But at the time I thought it was going to be like really good things. And so we wrote the song, and then by the time the song came out, I realized that I was actually in the ruin stage. And when I wrote the song, I was at the cusp of the ruin part of the cycle in the biggest way that pretty much has ever happened in my life. So, and that did bring a lot of renaissance, even in the ruin, which is the point of the song. Like, so it was just kind of, that's why that song has like a totally new life for me, because I really, like, when I wrote it, I was like, yeah, like this is great. And then I was like, oh man, I really actually had to put my money where my mouth was, because like it actually got bad really fast. But I had already written that song. And so it kind of, guided me through a huge ruin to be like, okay, but you said in your own words, like, it's the ruin and then it's the renaissance right there. And it's back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But we just get a little bit higher every time. We just get a little bit better every time. And like that was, when I wrote that, I was so in thinking that like life was great, everything was perfect, and then everything fell apart. And I had that song to kind of, I had already written what I needed to hear in the future from myself, which was very weird, but also very cool. And it just proved the point of the song and proved the beauty of the song. And I love that song so much. Shout out Chrissy and Landon. But yeah, so that is definitely my answer for that. And go listen. So, okay, I don't remember what... I don't have a table in here. I need a nice like table right here to put my book. It's on the floor and I have to bend out of frame every time that I pick it up. Okay, so now I'm flipping the page. Ugh, and I don't have anywhere to put my phone. This is a disaster. Can I get some a production assistant on set, please? Okay, so many people asked this question or a version of this question, which is, what's your favorite song you've ever written? And then also people were like, what's one of your favorite songs you've written recently, et cetera, because I've always talked about, like, you guys know, if you've ever asked me this in the past or if you've listened to the podcast, my favorite song that I've ever written has always been My Ghost. That one is the best one. That's my favorite. And that has recently changed. My favorite song that I have ever written is not My Ghost anymore. And I also think it is the best, that My Ghost is not the best song I've ever written anymore. Not just my favorite. This new My Ghost Ender song is both my favorite that I've ever written and, in my opinion, my best song. That's what I'm trying to say. So I did write it recently. It's the most recent song that I've written and produced, meaning the way that Ye Wenjie was right, I started writing so long ago. This song is the most recent that has been written and also produced. Because there's also songs that like I haven't produced yet that I wrote somewhat recently, but this song is both new. I'm not explaining this very well, so I'm going to move on, but I think you get it. You should get it. And spoilers, this song is going to be the next single. Don't ask me when. Don't ask me a question like that. But it will be very soon. So get excited for that. If you're listening 57 minutes in, you heard it here first. My best song that I've ever written is going to be the next release, okay? And you can take that to the bank because I fully believe that and I stand by it. So get excited. Last question, and this is such a good question. You guys had such good questions for me this time. I'm obsessed. Someone asked me what some of my non-musical influences are. Yes, I thought about this for a good amount of time today, actually, while I was on a run. And so I have a couple of different answers, and the one that I'm going to get out of the way really quick is like, what is a non-musical influence? Well, it's my life. I've already talked about how much, my daily walks have been playing into not just my song lyrics, but my visuals. Like the whole music video was conceived around this idea of my daily runs, like my jogging. So it's my life. My actual life has been a huge influence, more than it has been in the past. A lot of my past stuff has been, yeah, of course it's been influenced by my life, but it's been more of like not escapism. That's not the right, because that implies something negatively that I don't want to imply. But it's like my visuals and things have been fantastical, and they're still fantastical, but like they're more rooted in my reality and my authenticity and my life than they ever have been before. But there's two other answers that I also want to go over. One is, and again, this does not really apply to the era that we're in right now, but more my past stuff. Drag has been a huge influence on like kind of my brand, my identity, like always thinking about, okay, well, how can the look that I give how can the look of the outfit, the EP, the visual that I'm wearing, what I'm wearing, the makeup that I have, how can that play into the concept of the music and really thinking critically about that. And I'm still thinking about that critically for this era, but this era is just a much more it's just less dramatic than the other past eras. And so I wouldn't say that drag necessarily has inspired any of the the wardrobe choices for this project, but drag has inspired me as an artist to consider what I'm wearing, what I put on my face, and how that plays into the bigger concepts and stories that I'm telling with my music. So even though that's kind of like on a back burner a little bit this time, it's always going to be relevant in my career, but that's a big influence. And then obviously this is, goes without saying, I've made it pretty explicit, but I'll give you some specific tie-ins for unreleased and stuff that's, going on more recently. But the biggest influence that I have that's non-musical in my music is movies and film. Like, come on, we've been new. Movies and film is a huge, films inspire me in my music because I have these thoughts or ideas for songs and these concepts, and then sometimes I'll watch a movie, or it'll be a movie that I've loved for a long time, and I'll realize, oh my gosh, like this idea that I have for a song is so closely related to this movie that I love. And so then they become fused together. The movie becomes part of the inspiration for the song. For example, I have an unreleased song that you will hear eventually that is not even loosely, it's really heavily influenced by the anime movie Your Name. We just sat here and talked about Ye Wenjie, the character from the Three Body Problem. So that's, not a movie, but it was a Netflix TV show and it's a book. So I guess media overall, but specifically film. I always am thinking about film. I referenced Frankenstein in this podcast episode. So, film and media helps me to kind of, distill my own thoughts with the lens of someone else to see where I agree, where I disagree, and that then makes my own perspective stronger. And so film has always been a big part of my music, my identity as a creator, and I think it always will be. I'm already thinking about the next project after this, and it's something else that's like very heavily influenced by film. And even just thinking about the visuals of this era, like the photo shoots, not even the, music videos, but like the photo shoots for this era that we're currently in are super inspired by movies like Bones and All. Almost every photo shoot that I've done for this era so far has had a screenshot from that movie like on the Pinterest board, because that film, even though it's not necessarily inspiring what I'm writing in the music, it's inspiring the world and feel and visual of the era, which then also plays into the words that I select for the lyrics, or even the instrumentation that we use in the music, because I know what the world looks like. It looks like that movie. And so it then goes into every other part. And actually, I haven't written lyrics inspired by Bones and All, but I have used the soundtrack from Bones and All as a reference for some of the songs that we've made for this project. So it's definitely been a big influence. I think that's pretty much it though on the influences currently. But film is always, Violent Crimes, hello, all of those songs are like literally about movies and me, but like film will always be a big inspiration, and maybe I'll get to work on a film one day. I would love to write songs for films. I think that would be the coolest thing ever, and I think I would be good at it. I think I would be so good at it. I'll be honest. I think I would be incredible at it. But so I'd love to do that one day. It's on the bucket list for sure. Right next to Met Gala, attend Met Gala and slay Met Gala and stun for Met Gala. Cover of all of the BuzzFeed articles about the Met Gala. But anyway, also, okay, wait, this is a bonus just because I love it so much. A film that stays rooted in my mind whenever I think about like career inspiration in almost any way. Like even this next project, this movie has come up thinking about that. Labyrinth, the movie with the Muppets. Yes. That movie is a huge inspiration in my career, and I have not really gotten to do anything specifically inspired by that. But there are several things when I think about my career, like I'm like, oh, I would love to do that kind of like Labyrinth. Oh, I'd love to do this kind of like Labyrinth. Oh, I'd love to do this kind of like Labyrinth. Like that movie is it stays rooted in my mind. Especially the famous, the masquerade scene. That scene, I could write a long, egregiously over fancy lyrical paper, essay, TED talk about that scene. But and the other thing, oh my gosh, I totally forgot. The other non-musical inspiration that is like it's not even something that I think about, but it's just like rooted. Again, it's something that's like kind of rooted in me and like anchored in my brain, so I know that it's where a lot of inspiration comes from. But like all throughout high school and even maybe some, I don't know when it started, but I have always written like bad poetry and bad short stories and stuff like that all throughout high school. And I feel that kind of the motive and intention and brain behind that kind of stuff evolved into songwriting and also kind of, you know, why I think about visuals so much and stuff like that. Like that's the same brain at work as the kid that wrote hundreds of poems that were fill up notebooks that will live and die in those notebooks. And I also think that's why, you know, I was talking about why I picked this song as the next single. And I was like, oh, well, it's because of the story that I'm trying to tell, the narrative that I'm trying to follow. My music has always been very narrative driven, in my opinion. I mean, even from the way that I ordered songs on both EPs, it's like I'm thinking about the story that's being told. And even if it's like kind of vague, like I can tell you exactly what the order of the songs means in a storytelling way. Like you might have no idea, and that's fine, but I know exactly like why they're in that order. And that's the same for what's going on right now, and that'll probably be a through line of my entire career, is that I'm very I think of projects very story, like what's the story, the narrative of the project. And that's also plays into like me calling things a music era, which I did kind of steal from like the K-pop industry in my opinion. I mean, it's something that's been done forever, like Madonna and you know, Donna Summer, all kinds of people have been doing eras forever. But like an era meaning not just like a new hairstyle, not just a new sound, but like this era is rooted in this story that we're telling that is then accompanied by all the other aspects, the wardrobe, the hair, the visuals, the soundscape, etc., whatever. But for me, like, it's always like, okay, well, here's the story, here's the narrative. And that has never been more true than in this project that I am starting to roll out. So I can't wait for you to see more. But anyway, until then, please keep streaming the song because it's doing really well. So let's keep streaming. Let's get those streams up. And oh my gosh. Oh, my camera's about to die. Perfect, because I'm almost done. But the other thing that I wanted to say is that I know like the podcast like hasn't been happening that much. It's just because I've been, you know, focused on all kinds of other things, which I did say in my last podcast episode is like, I'm going to turn on the camera and speak when I want to and when I have something to say, like today. But get excited because the rest of the year, there's lots that I have to say. We're going to be doing my albums of the year. We're going to be doing my movies of the year. I'm going to be doing another podcast episode soon to talk about some things that I have watched recently. So it will be back for a little bit. It will be back on for a little bit. Low-key, I need to clean my room where I record because it's a mess. So once that happens, we'll be back. And I need to take down all these newspapers. They already are falling. You can't see over here. All of the newspapers have fallen down. These are about to fall. They had fallen when I came in here to record, and I threw them back up really quickly. But this is all about to come down. Yeah. So, anyway, that's it. That's all. So, I'm gonna turn the camera off now, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna edit the music video so you can see it. Okay. Okay.